You're watching Sci-Fi Saturday, discussion and analysis of all your favorite sci-fi TV shows, only on the Anthony James YouTube channel. Chapter 10 of The Mandalorian was written by Jon Favreau and Peyton Reed. It was absolutely amazing, and I can't wait to get into it. So you know what? Let's not waste any time. Let's get into it. The episode picked up exactly where Chapter 9 left off. Mando is traveling with Boba Fett's armor back into Mos Eisley. And I absolutely love the idea that he's still being pursued by bounty hunters or bandits. They want the child, because the child is still very valuable. So I love that even just in episode 2, we're already getting him being pursued. And I'm sure this is going to happen throughout the show. He's going to keep getting pursued to get Baby Yoda, or the child as they call him. So I'm absolutely loving this part. I love the dynamic fight scene. It was a really great way to open the episode. The way that every single punch and every single sort of movement of weight was felt in this scene. The coordination, the stunt coordination in this scene was absolutely great. It reminded me a bit of The Witcher episode 1 at the very end. Like sort of, it was following one character and it was very short, but a shorter version of that scene. But it was great. I just absolutely loved it. I loved also the idea of Mando tricking. So I was actually, in my head, I was like, I know that the Mandalorian is probably going to continue upgrading his armor to a certain extent because, you know, I'm sure that, I know he's got the full set of armor now, but he could hopefully still upgrade into better things. Obviously the jetpack, I thought to myself, is he actually going to get rid of this jetpack now? And I thought that's a really interesting way to go with it. The idea that he would just give up the jetpack that easily because he wants the child to be safe. And then, no, he actually, it was just a ploy. And to be honest with you, that bounty hunter or trapper or whatever that was absolutely stupid. How did you not see that coming? They give you a jetpack and you just run away without even asking how to use it. You know, where's the remote control for this thing? And he just flew him up into the air and he landed back down. Absolutely loved that. Absolutely loved that. I also wanted to give a quick mention to the CG in this scene. The computer graphics in this scene were really, really subtle and well used. Whenever the Mandalorian speeder gets hit on the wire and flies over, there's a subtle shot of about literally less than a second of the child rolling and falling down. And that's obviously it's probably a purely CG scene, little moment, but it was just so sparingly used and it just looked so good. I remember it kind of reminded me like whenever Yoda fought at the end of the Attack of the Clones. Obviously that was actually a bit more mind-blowing because Yoda himself he was able to do way more acrobatic stunts than we thought he would be able to. So it was actually a little bit jarring in a way. Having said that, I was like 12 at the time and I thought it was cool. This kind of reminded me of that in that you don't really ever see Yoda or the child doing these or being like thrown around or jumping or like running. You always see them slowly, methodically walking or sort of tottering about if they're the child. So the idea of actually seeing a real dynamic instance of them falling off the speeder, it just, I don't know, I just really love that, the fact that they included the shot of the child falling through the air. And it was CG was really subtly done, and it was really, really, really well done in my opinion. We also got the return of a character, Peli Motto, and the actress who plays Peli Motto is Amy Sedaris. Now, I will say, I was very intrigued at the inclusion of this character again so early on in the season. Obviously, we saw this character back in the first season, whenever Mando first came to Tatooine. But I was really intrigued at the start of in the last episode and this episode to get back into this character so quickly. Because to be honest with you, although I enjoyed Peli Motto in the first season, I didn't really feel like the character had any legs. I didn't feel like, oh, there's more to come out of that character. I'll say now, I take that back. I don't know why I thought that. This character, Amy Sedaris, has proved that this character has legs. I would love to see her come back. She's a big part of the Mandalorian universe to me now. And I think that she holds her place and she's funny and, you know, she has a particular character. I think they really did a good job of really solidifying that character as one of Mando's sort of band of contacts in the universe. Amy Sedaris brings a real comic element to the role, which has had me laughing out loud a couple of times, which is to be expected considering that she did play Princess Carolyn in BoJack Horseman. One of the scenes in which I had a chuckle was the scene in the Mos Eisley Cantina, I think it's called Shalman's Spaceport Cantina. And that's actually the cantina from the original A New Hope, whenever Luke and Obi-Wan went in there. And of course, it's also where Han shot first. So that little scene with Dr. Mandible, he actually appeared in episode 5 of season 1 already, in The Gunslinger. But he reappears here, and it's again Mandalorian just bringing these characters back, building the world. When you go to Tatooine, you go to Mos Eisley, you see Palimoto, you see Dr. Mandible. It's building this world, and I'm loving it, right? But Dr. Mandible's a really interesting, like, insectoid alien that I want to know what he's a doctor of. Is he a physicist? Is he a medical doctor? What's he a doctor of? I would love to know. Probably not a surgeon, although I don't know. Maybe the insect arms could be good for being a surgeon. Sort of can do the keyhole surgery just with his arm. No idea, but it would be good to know. Now, as you'd expect, this episode was really fast paced most of the time. The Mandalorian is a show that likes to get a lot into each episode. Sometimes they slow down. Like even in this episode, there was moments where we slowed down. Like when we first crash landed on the ice planet, there was about five or so minutes of like slowly trying to fix the ship and walking into the caves. It did slow down a little bit, but for the most part, this was a very fast-paced episode. And I was really impressed at the way they were able to build in tension and anxiety into such a fast-paced episode. I had a lot of anxiety over those eggs. That frog lady's spawn. I had a lot of anxiety over those, especially when they started having the child eating them. Every single time that Mando and the frog lady were in the cockpit, and the child was somewhere else in the ship, I was just anxious as hell because I was just like, oh my god, he's eating those eggs, go and stop him. So that was really interesting the way they built that in. And obviously we all love the child. It's not like we thought like, the child is evil for eating these eggs. So but it was actually a bit of a comic thing too. Like it was actually quite funny that he was eating these eggs, but at the same time it really compounded the tragic story of the frog lady. I found the idea of going and meeting her husband, who's went off to try and forge a life for them somewhere else on a hospitable planet to go and try and save their species. That's a really tragic story that to be honest with you, I love that they went into that and they explored that in Star Wars, because obviously Star Wars is about going, not all overall, but part of it is about going and seeing these different alien forms and like exploring the galaxy and learning about the new these alien species and learning about their cultures and things. So I love that they were building in this idea that these two characters, there's a real deep idea that they needed to continue the line because their species was going to go extinct. Like if you're a frog living on a desert planet, that's probably not a good idea. So I understand why they needed to move. But I really enjoyed that storyline. I thought that character was real tragic. That character, the frog lady, was actually played by Misty Rosas, who you wouldn't recognize because she always has the makeup and stuff up. But Misty Rosas actually played Kuil in the last series. Obviously, Kuil was voiced by the fabulous Nick Nolte, but the actual performance was done by Misty. So Misty comes back into this, does the Frog Lady. In my opinion, the Frog Lady was a fantastic addition to the Mandalorian universe. Absolutely loved the language. I thought it was awesome how they added in the detail that she's really, really smart. Like the way that she was able to hack into Zero, the robot from back in the heist episode from season 1. I love the fact that they also got Richard Ayoade back. Obviously famous for the IT crowd, got him back to do the voice, even though it was only 4 or 5 lines. It was great that they got him back to do that. So the language, how she was able to eventually translate through the robot Zero was absolutely fantastic. I really liked the just her story in general. I just thought she was a real tragic character, but also at the same time hopeful because she was going to try and save her species. I thought the idea that they had to stay in sublight speeds rather than warp was a really interesting idea. And actually there was a detail that I noticed whenever Mando was putting in the coordinates of where he has to go to get to the moon that they're going to. Mando actually, it shows a picture of the screen and Mando actually plotted to go round the planets. And it was interesting because in Star Wars is very much like soft fantasy slash soft sci-fi. Like, we don't really need an explanation about how warp drives work. We don't really need an explanation of how the anti-gravity stuff works. We don't need that information. Maybe that's why the midichlorians went down so poorly, because that was trying to get a real deep explanation of what the Force is. But we didn't really need that, because this isn't that type of, like, Star Wars isn't that type of thing. It doesn't need deep explanations. You just need to have a bit of a plausibility there, and you need a good story. Mandalorian has a good story and a bit of plausibility. But the thing is, what I really enjoyed, having said all that, I really enjoyed the little detail of whenever they were trying to go in sublight speeds around the planets, it actually showed the display, and it showed that Mando had plotted his course around planets. And in my opinion, when looking at it, it just looks like he's trying to plot, like, sort of getting the gravity and orbital swings, so you can actually, like, sort of use the force of the gravity of planets to traject you out into out further into space. And obviously that would save him a lot of fuel. And I don't know, that was like a tiny detail that I loved. Also the displays in the X-Wings, really old school, really great. Last thing I'll say about the Frog Lady, I absolutely loved when she, like, was running and hopping, like she was hopping like a frog. Really awesome detail that they put in. And it's just like they were calling her Frog, like, I don't speak frog, and I was like, oh, okay, so this actually is a frog. And then all of a sudden she actually can get down into the frog pose and jump like a frog. Such a cool detail. Again, like, yeah, it first time it happened, it's like I was like, oh my god, it was sort of a mixture of enjoyment in sort of how silly it is that there's a human-sized frog jumping about, but at the same time it was also, like, awesome, because I was like, oh my god, yeah, this is Star Wars, we're in this world. It was so cool. It was so cool to me. Dave Filoni returns in his guest role as the X-Wing pilot, Trapper Wolf. Obviously, he appeared a few times in the first season as well. In this season, in this episode, he gets a few lines, and I like the way sort of they were a bit of a Deus Ex Machina, these X-Wing pilots. So, like, they come in and save them from the spiders at the end, and everything's good, and they let them away because Mando's done something for them, which, that makes a lot of sense in terms of, like, sort of the way that their morals would working for the New Republic. But yeah, really enjoyed the chase scene. Classic Star Wars spaceship chase scene through the clouds. Beautiful shots with the sunlight coming through the clouds. Then we go in and we get the classic through the cliffs, through the tight spaces. The thing that I love the most is that it wasn't successful for Mando. Nearly all the time, not all the time, but nearly all the time in Star Wars, when they're going through those tight caves and caverns, they always get out the other end. Not Mando. Mando doesn't get out the other end. He crashes, and then he has a whole episode where he needs to try and fix his ship. Absolutely great. And it sort of is, it epitomizes the Mandalorian character to me. The Mandalorian character is really rough and ready, get the job done. It doesn't matter what it looks like. We just do it. Whether it looks ugly, whether it's rough, whether it's a sort of a hack to do it, we do it. And I love that about the character, because if you think back to, like, what Star Wars sort of became 20 years ago, and again, like, as I say, I grew up with the prequels. I would watch the prequels even now. They have a place for me. Obviously, people have their issues with them, but I love the canon being consistent throughout as well. But and so the prequels do play a part in that as well. But basically, I really compare Mandalorian to those prequels, where very much the Jedi in those films were a lot of the time style over substance. Like, if they could get an extra flip or an extra spin of their lightsaber before they kill someone, they'll do it. And it was really sort of style over substance, as I say. Whereas the Mandalorian is substance over style. He doesn't care about looking good. Obviously, but he looks great. That's the ironic thing. But he doesn't care about looking good. He cares about just getting the job done, killing who he needs to kill, catching who he needs to catch, doing the job. And that's what I absolutely love, is that sort of it's returning Star Wars. Not that it was always this, but it's returning it into a sort of a grounded, down to earth character who there's no thrill, there's no frills, there's no frills about this character. He's very much just get the job done, and I love that about him. Last thing I'll talk about, the design of the spiders was terrifying. Like the huge sort of suction mouth on these huge spiders, the way it was stabbing through the cockpit. That was very, like, it was really cool. And there was enough tension there for me too. Like how long it took them running away from the spiders, him shooting them all. It was a good 5, 6, 7 minutes before they actually got into the cockpit, started flaming them down, finally got in. The moment where Baby Yoda, the child, is surrounded by the little spiders, and then the frog lady's got the blaster. That was a great little sequence there. But like this child, I'll tell you what, this child in The Mandalorian, you really do fear for this child. It's really strange. Like, and I've recently had a baby myself, 2 months old now he is, and I said to my wife when we were watching this today, it's unbelievable. Like our son actually looks like Baby Yoda. And then she said, no, he doesn't. It's just that the designers of that puppet have done such a good job at creating it, making it look like an infant. They've made it look like a baby, that probably every baby looks like Baby Yoda sometimes. And when you look at Baby Yoda, you do get a connection to it, like, oh, I need to protect that. That baby needs protected. And just hats off to those designers, because that is absolutely brilliant. Like, I don't know how they did that so well. Like, obviously, I do, because I watched the gallery on Disney Plus, so I went through and watched that. But absolutely fantastic. I just absolutely loved it. So yeah, that was this episode. Really, really great, action-packed episode. A little bit of tension there, tragic storylines, a little bit of extra stuff from Palimoto as well. A little bit of comic value there. Good to see the new. Sort of them continuing the great character design in terms of the Frog Lady, especially. Absolutely love the design of her. I'm really excited to see episode 3. Now, obviously, he's still with the Frog Lady, so I wonder if episode 3 he's going to get there, drop her off. That's probably how the start of the episode is going to go. He's probably going to drop her off, and then just off he goes on his way. Sort of to boost the next episode, to start off with that little 5-minute sequence of him dropping her off at the planet. Or maybe there'll be a whole episode based on the Frog Lady again, which, you know what? I'd be up for that, because I thought it was a great character. Alright guys, thanks very much for watching. Make sure you subscribe so you catch my Mandalorian every single Saturday on Sci-Fi Saturday here on the Anthony James YouTube channel. We also have Star Trek review I do with my friend Emmett every Saturday. I've also got a podcast with my friend Conrad about the show Dark. If you haven't seen Dark, watch it. It's absolutely fantastic. Video essay and review of a different show out every Thursday. That's enough plugs. Thanks very much. Leave a comment if you want to talk to me. Leave a like on the video. And subscribe. Thank you very much. See you later. You're watching Sci-Fi Saturday. Discussion and analysis of all your favorite sci-fi TV shows. Only on the Anthony James YouTube channel.